And hello and welcome everybody. We are back here for Game 2 of the League of Legends Oceanic Season 3 Championships here, live from PAX Australia. It's Immunity versus HotSoggyDecimate here in our grand final. And what a great game one we had to start things off, Papa Smithy.
And just a dominating performance from Team Immunity. I mean, Team Immunity, they came into this game the favorites. They showed why with a fantastic game there. They're now one step closer to, you know, that thing that's eluded them. They're one step closer to Cologne, Germany.
That's true. An international trip is something that Immunity have never been afforded as a League of Legends team, unfortunately, and they would absolutely love to go on and represent Australia. They represent Oceania there and try and do as much as they can and possibly even follow that path to pro and get to the Season 3 World Finals as well, because that's what's at stake there at Gamescom, that wildcard tournament that the winner will receive entry into the World Finals there, which of course going to be at the Staples Center in LA, an absolutely massive event. Of course, you all remember what the Season 2 Championships was like. I can't imagine what it would be like there, especially with an Australian team representing.
Just such an iconic sports venue is the Staples Center. It holds so many games. For esports to be there, it'll be massive. It's just super exciting.
It really is, and we should have Game 2 underway fairly shortly, but before we get into that, Papa, what do we kind of see there in Game 2 that HotSoggyDecimate are going to be adjusting for?
I mean, they tried a few things there, HotSoggyDecimate. I mean, then most notably, it's that Doran's Blade Udyr. You know, didn't really get the pressure down they wanted. Had a few kills there early, but it didn't really feel like it had a plan in terms of transitioning to the late game. It seemed like almost a lane snowballing tool, and they lost their lanes. But they had the counter matchup in mid. Swain really bullied around that Ahri until Rumble came to relieve pressure. Then Rumble went back to top to find almost a 70 CS disadvantage. So difficult times for their team there. And down bottom lane, Corki just destroyed Vayne.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of talking about it before. Both Radio and Decimate have very similar champion pools. They're basically 1-2 favorite champions are each Vayne and Ezreal. Decimate's shown an amazing play throughout the tournament, and Radio, of course, just very consistent, very strong. Quite possibly the most feared AD carry here in Australia as well. He's just been playing so well for so long here. As you see, a nice little dance there.
Ryder's having some fun.
Hey, why not? It's been a pretty fun weekend, actually.
It absolutely has. We're getting towards the end of it here. We're game one into the final. I mean, the return of Corki is probably the story for me, just because taking away 50 mana from one ability, capping those rockets at 20 mana, just those mana cost tweaks, it changes the dynamics. We always remember the Holy Trinity, the Ezreal, the Corki, the Graves of yesteryear. And Holy Trinities exist just because certain champions are stronger in certain matchups. Adding Corki back to the pool of competitive ADs, it starts to shift, and I think we'll see another shift in AD carry choices coming in the future.
Yeah, and it's funny, actually, throughout this tournament, throughout the qualifiers, we've seen so much Vayne being played by Australian players, and honestly, Radier, a noted Corki player, can really prey on that. I think that's exactly what happened to HotSoggyDecimate in that last game as well. They kind of knew that Decimate wanted to play Vayne, let him pick it and said, we've already got this prepared, we're going to play Corki. And
talking to HotSoggyDecimate, they have some strategies prepared. You think now's the time, right? Whether it's the cheese, whether it's the innovative picks, they've got to show us something, or Immunity will be going to Cologne.
Yeah, they actually chose the purple side on Friday because they had a particular strategy prepared. We'll see if they've got something similar cooked up here. Both the teams last night, we didn't really see them much because they were out back in the hotel strategizing, you know, making sure they were prepared for this matchup. We saw massive sheets of, you know, draft potentials that they were going through, kind of predicting the picks, predicting the bans. All the teams who have come here to PAX and competed in this event have clearly shown that they've done their homework and really, really prepared for each other. And now at this point, it's just who's better on the day. Immunity are already up a game. They are the favorites in this tournament when we started 2 weeks ago. And now they might finally get the one thing they've really, really wanted, and that's a chance to compete internationally and really show the world what they're made of.
And it'd just be interesting to see what sort of strategizing has been done on the HotSoggyDecimate side. They have the advantage of having plenty of video of Team Immunity playing. A lot of their matches have been casted. They've been around a long time. They play a certain style. It's usually radius-centric, or there are some shenanigans like we saw yesterday. So they have that information. What can they do with it? What can they take away? And how can they counter this Team Immunity that we saw in Game 1 who looked so, so good?
Yeah, and you can see them there on your screen. Team Immunity clearly looking very relaxed there. Radier, as you can see, just a second to the top side of the screen there. Kind of pumping his team up, getting them ready to go. It looks like one more game here. We are into champ select, in fact, here, and Zed's going to go straight into the bin for Immunity. They're on the blue side this time.
And Vayne is the ban for HotSoggyDecimate. They took away the Vayne. Radier had an answer for it. They're not ready for the Radier Vayne, though.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see if they're going to ban more than 180 carry. I doubt it at this point, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe Decimate is something prepared for Ezreal. I mean, it's kind of funny, right? When you have two players that know particular champions so well, it also makes countering them easier because you understand how they work. Oh, wow, they actually are going to do it, though. HotSoggyDecimate are like, yeah, we don't like that Ezreal either. Play something else, Radier.
And maybe they'll even go all out pastry time. Could we see a Corki ban here? So many strong champions would be left in the pool, but I mean, it'd be 3 steps towards taking Radiant out of his comfort zone.
It would. I mean, Radiant's still probably got a couple of champions to go to as well. We see Annie the ban out there as well. So clearly respecting Elevate's Annie, which I think is the right move here. Is going to be the 3 ADC ban. That would be a much, much respect to Radiant. It feels like they're thinking about it. But we'll have to see here. I mean, one of the nice things about being on purple side is that if you leave a lot of strong champions open, you get 2 picks after your enemy gets 1. And it's often worth trading 1 good champion for 2 good champions as well. You know, you kind of trade up in that sense.
Absolutely. And when we were talking about the Jace, Kennen, kind of Zac days of those being the
there it
is. Wow. So will they go for the strongest AD carry in the pool, or will they go for this Elise that they're mousing over?
Well, Elise is very, very strong here. I mean, at this point, pretty much all the really strong champions have gotten through. We've got Zed and we've got Zac banned out, 2 champions that have seen a lot of play here that have really been fought for between the teams here at this tournament. 3 AD carry bans there from HotSoggyDecimate. Do not like this Radiant character. Do not like him one bit. Want to try and ban him out here. We've seen Varus from Radiant already. As a champion, maybe he'll go to that, but maybe he has something even crazier prepared. Who knows?
And before the nerfs, he was playing Draven as well, so it's not like he's a 3 champion man. He does play a lot of champions at the competitive rate. But I mean, this is Radiant. We run out of superlative just because he is the first Australian challenger, widely respected as the best player that Oceanic has to offer. They're trying to hold him down here, but the Elise comes through, and it's a surprising pick to me. Elise is often banned by immunity to keep it away from other teams. I haven't seen them play it a lot, but it's the lock here.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of have to pick it up. They hate playing against it, and you can see the strategy here. It looks like HotSoggyDecimate are like, all right, you can have Elise, we'll take Jace and Thresh here.
And 2 very, very strong champions. This is patch 3.9, so of course, Jace has received a slight nerf on the cooldown of Acceleration Gate. Has the same utility, maybe a little bit less burst, and this Ziggs here, and just cycling through some very popular picks here. Be interesting to see what they go with.
Yeah, these champions, you can see their Heavens rotating through. These are all Heavens champions. He is known for playing a lot of funky ones. His Lulu actually is one of the best known. Janna as well. He does love his support APs. Wouldn't be too surprised here at Game Up to see Heavens maybe pull something funky out as we go through Anivia here. I mean, we're not kidding, guys. This guy can pretty much play every single champion in the game mid. Very, very diverse. I mean, we mentioned Lulu. It is something he's very good at, but there's a reason for it. Immunity, as we've said, a Radiant-centric team. If they have an extra powerful support, they can often get Radiant a hyper carry status even faster, protect him even better. But we're going to see Zyra here and possibly Graves as a pickup here, which is very different from what we've been seeing here.
Graves is an interesting lock here. I mean, Graves, one of his bad matchups is Vayne, and that's why you don't see a lot of Graves, just because Vayne, if it doesn't get the early advantage, can really burst down Graves. The Tristana pick is interesting to me because Graves has always been considered very, very strong against Tristana.
Well, unfortunately, I believe that is Decimate's next favorite champion. I actually asked him last night when we were all hanging out, and he said, yeah, I really like Tristana as well. So I know this is something he's comfortable on, but if the matchup's not great, as you suggest there, Papa, then, you know, that could be more struggles there down the bottom of here. Nasus, I like this pick here, potentially denying that one away from Alicia, although it looks like he might be going for at least jungle here instead. And Teemo again being considered. I don't know if Rosie wants to pull it out this time. I mean, he does love his Teemo, so he's happily going to mouse over it here. I'd be very impressed to see him play it, but he's been playing some unconventional supports, that's for sure.
Rosie gets a lot of leash with those unconventional supports. You know, some people, they're really on that Sona Janna duty, playing passive, but he loves playing aggressively, loves that Thresh, which of course has been taken away. We'll see Zephyrus on Thresh here. He's played Orianna support during this tournament, so does like to mix it up. Be interesting to see what we see. I mean, maybe it'll be now. Interesting question is, which of these 2 champions, the Lulu and the Zyra, is going mid? My bet's on Lulu.
I think it is here. I mean, that's one of Heavens' most well-known champions. He's trademark champion, one of his favorite as well. I like to Renekton from Swiper. He played it great last game. It's one of his go-to champions. Zac's banned out here. That's what he's been playing a lot of as well. So he's not going to go over to Renekton here, which, again, he's very, very comfortable on. Lulu, as you said, I don't know how late these guys can swap. I don't know if there's a rule on that at all. I know that some tournaments have you can't swap after a certain, like before a certain period sort of thing. But we've got one more pick here to make as well here for HotSoggyDecimate. And looks like they're actually mousing over Kha'Zix, interestingly enough, which would mean they would have a very, very powerful double AD line, actually triple AD potentially, because they've already got Jace.
Only really that Kha'Zix passive, you know, some incidental. I mean, the burst from Thresh, especially early game, is there in terms of magic damage, but it'll be a very, very small amount of magic damage apart from Tristana's abilities and, you know, some incidental AP damage elsewhere.
Yep, so we'll see if that's what we're going to go for. A few more seconds out of a HotSoggyDecimate. to make their pick. And looks like they are, in fact, going to go for Kha'Zix. I guess the question is, who gets what champion on both sides here? We have a funny feeling that Lulu's going over to Heavens here. He's going to have that in the mid. But who of Suna and Elevate is going to get Jace or Kha'Zix?
I think having Kha'Zix against a Lulu who has that long-range auto attack, who is able to, harass down someone will be suicide. It just takes so much damage for free just from auto attacks that I think it has to be Kha'Zix top here. It'd be interesting to see if we see that Kha'Zix top's the kind of the new school of Kha'Zix top, maxing that Q, going for strong trades against the Renekton. He does the missing health very reliably now. Renekton is known to stack a lot of health, gets more from his ultimate. I can see what they're going for, but kind of a frail assassin against a super tanky crocodile, risky.
It certainly fits Suna's playstyle, though. Remember, he's really good when he's playing super aggressively, and Kha'Zix is the champion that you can get a lot of aggression out of here as well. I guess the only other question is here, it looks like HotSoggyDecimate have kind of sorted that all out. There it is. Lulu mid, everybody. We are going to be seeing it here. Heavens back on the old faithful here, back on that Lulu. Something he carried himself very, very high up in NA on all that awful ping there. His internet in particular was particularly bad.
I believe on 270 ping he hit rank 13, playing basically only Lulu mid. So he loves that champion. It's dear to his heart. It fits the comps they play. It's a very strong pick for Immunity.
Yeah, and it's going to make that Graves very, very scary here. Now, Graves, very interesting sort of carry. Obviously plays differently to a lot of them. Has reasonably short range, has, I guess, a shotgun as a weapon, so it kind of supposed to feel like a very short range, almost bruiser style AD. I think one of the nice things about Graves, not only is he good early game, and we've already seen what they can do with an aggressive Zyra being played by Rosie and Radier's aggression in lane as well, but Graves scales interestingly into late game. He's an AD carry, he's always going to steal decently, but Quick Draw's a pretty good spell if you're winning a team fight.
It's one of those awkward things that with that 525 range, in very, very late game, you struggle. You can't really get those auto attacks off on turrets, but we are loaded in here, pastry time.
We are here, fingers crossed that we don't have any issues here, and we are going to get started for game 2 here. Immunity currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 for our grand final, and HotSoggyDecimate, of course, down 0-1. Backs against the wall now. They are going to have to win 2 straight here against Immunity. And it's a pretty mean feat here, but HotSoggyDecimate, they've been the underdog of this tournament. They've been such a great story, and we'll see if they can make at least this game happen and give us the 3rd and final game here. But Immunity looking absolutely on top of it this game in the prime form here. And looks like both teams going to move out for level 1.
So if we ever were to use one word to describe Suna from HotSoggyDecimate, their top laner, it would be aggression. And look at this start here. Red Pot is the opening here. The nerf to Red Pot, 350 gold to pick up that item, so you kind of need to secure a kill from it, but so much aggression. It's the return of Kha'Zix with Red Pot.
Yeah, I think actually both top laners here from either team have a very polarizing playstyle here. You can see the aggression from Suna, the Red Pot start. Swipe Up, we've seen him very safe, very farm heavy, just likes to chill in top lane. Can make plays where he can certainly get kills in situations, but generally likes to just stay safe and get things done. And you can see reflected in his item build here as well. He started Cloth 5 here up against the Kha'Zix.
He doesn't really have any pressure to pick up kills, and then he just needs to get tanky to support that Graves. The point I was trying to make is that with 525 range, Graves has a hard time using his attack speed steroid to get damage on turrets. He kind of needs to keep Quick Draw up to be able to get away from turrets, just because he has the danger of being that much closer to the turret, that much closer to the enemy team. So late game, he does struggle when trying to take down objectives like, inner turrets, inhibitor turrets, but otherwise, he still scales like a regular AD carry, and that burst early game is crazy.
It really is. We already saw just how painful it was when a Grasping Roots landed out down in the bottom lane, just how much damage can get done. Buckshot as well there as Quick Draw comes through. Going to make things pretty tough here for HotSoggyDecimate down the bottom lane. And looks like we are going to have the lanes match up kind of as we predicted here. Very standard. We're going to have 4 bot, 1 mid, 1 top. And both junglers going to do it once more time, bottom to top.
Heaven's having a great time in the mid lane. I looked at his runes just because he was known for kind of eccentric rune choices here. If you look, we see at the screen right here, he has 1 AP. He is in fact running 8.5 attack damage and 6% lifesteal. This is an attack damage Lulu. This is looking to punish Jace with those auto attacks.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Jace is much like an AD carry. You don't really want to get into bad traits here. A Swiper does a lot of damage there to Suna in the top lane. Suna going to have to chug down the potion. Looks like Heaven's in the mid, actually getting it all into by Elevate. His aggression finally coming up there. And that was a level 1 just craziness there from Jace trying to pick off that Lulu.
But importantly, Elevator's low and Ignite's still available for Heavens, so I can't see him stopping trading. He has the potions, he has lifesteal quints. He'll get healthy very soon.
And yeah, it's Heavens. I mean, when I first saw his Lulu bid, he was actually running a gold pretender just down the bottom. Zephyrus forced to flash out there. The buckshot will actually miss, but again, so devastating when that grasping roots comes out. There's just so much damage. I mean, Zyra, if you let her, she can kill you very easily on her own. She's just one of the highest damage supports, actually.
Now, I mentioned earlier that Graves is very favorable against Corki in laning phase. You might wonder why. What about that is that, of course, we all know that Tristana's late game is amazing, but in terms of her early game, she uses her spells for a bit of lane control, her spells to get some burst off in lane. But if you use the rocket jump effect really aggressively for damage, you're going to take the full damage of the buckshot, and that is not a trade that Tristana can win.
No, and unfortunately in the early levels your range is quite muted as well. Obviously as you go through and draw a bead, that passive scales per level, it gets better and better, but here in the early game, I mean, as he's mentioned, a lot of Tristana's damage comes from those spells. Thankfully Explosive Shot now scales well with your attack range, so she'll be able to trade in that sense, but being aggressive and going for an all-in is going to be very dangerous.
See a 2v2 up top. With that Nasus pick, Suna has a lot of help in terms of wave clear. So not a lot of early turret damage coming down from Unity.
No, and a nice little bit of babysitting there from Soggy Noodles. Just wants to make sure that Suna is not too troubled here in this top lane. It's probably going to take a level or so. Probably level 6 here for Suna to really get going. But Elevate here, taking quite a bit of damage. Heaven's thinking about going deep here, but it doesn't go too far. It's actually out of mana, but I guess it's something that we could have kind of touched on there. I guess I touched on it a little with Swain in the last game. He was toppling the, as we do see Wither coming out now. Soggy Noodles, a swiper in trouble. First pod there for Suna, and that red pot damage was insane. Cocoon actually coming out here as well. Soggy Noodle's going to take a big chunk, but Alicia, nothing much he can do here 1v2. He's just going to back away.
And Kha'Zix gets that purchase for the red pot. It proves successful. Now he needs to transition and keep ahead far enough that he has that kill pressure on Renekton for longer. I mean, the Doran's Shield pickup here, he'd prefer a giant spell, but the Doran's Shield will help him in trades against Kha'Zix, and it'll be interesting to see what items that the Kha'Zix can pick up to try and stay ahead of Renekton to have continual kill pressure on him throughout the laning phase.
Yeah, and Suna, one of the players here for HotSoggyDecimate, when he gets ahead, things go very, very well for his team. So he's clearly picked a very hyper-aggressive champion here in Kha'Zix, and he's looking to continue to snowball with that red pot as well. Actually gone back, picked up a Tear of the Goddess as his first item, so gonna have to make it a little bit easier of a time in terms of mana regen. Curious to see which skill he's maxing first.
He is maxing that Q. That is the new skill of Kha'Zix. We will almost 100% see the evolution of that Q at level 6.
Yeah, and that's going to be big damage there coming onto that Renekton. I mean, Renekton's ult obviously very, very good in a pinch defensively as well, and decent in a tower dive as well if you want to really go in. But I mean, Kha'Zix does a lot of damage. That red pot's going to be up as well. Should be still there, I think, by the time he hits level 6. And Swiper, especially if he gets ganked again, could potentially find himself in a whole lot of trouble here. I didn't actually mention this before, by the way, but Soggy Noodles has actually gone for Flash here this time. It looks like he liked the aggression and the gank potential that allowed Alicia in the last game.
I mean, Alicia would not have picked up that kill on Ahri very early in laning phase without flashing directly on top of the Ahri without flash and applying that red buff to follow up with the Wither. So it proved trumps in that game an adaptation.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Alicia looking there to try and go for the mid lane. Wants to try and set it up here. Lulu with a decent Zoe can kind of go in, but Jace is getting harassed and Repel. Gonna come in there as well. The Venomous Bite comes through. The Spiderling's in on there as well. And Jace forced to flash out of that one. Nice bit of pressure from Immunity in mid.
And Alicia here showing very good mechanics on that Elise. Not a champion we've seen him play, not a champion associated with Alicia, but he's clearly been practicing that in his free time.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Immunity have banned it pretty much throughout this tournament, as you said. Finally getting a chance to pick it up, decide, hey, we can go for this one. And I think HotSoggyDecimate may have been expecting Elise to not be taken here, but Elise here, as you said, clearly been practicing, you know, needs to be on top of things, and Elise, a very, very strong champion at the moment. I mean, if you can pick her up, you almost always want to.
And that's what the Korean teams do. Even when Kenna and Jace were at the peak of their powers, at their most popular, it would still be Elise picked up first pick if you could only pick one, just because of her potential to be a dominant top laner or a dominant jungle, and we're seeing the jungle right here.
He's a very aggressive invade from Immunity. Rady actually going to get spotted by a ward, but everybody's kind of moving towards it here. HotSoggyDecimate, can they defend this off here? This is really, really wanting to secure this blue buff here. I guess denying it from Jace would make a lot of sense. Heavens here actually camping. He does the damage coming in. Jace could be in trouble as they trade back and forth. The activate acceleration, get the ignite down as well. And still too much damage. One more auto attack picks it up. And a continue on as well. Grasping Roots coming through. Rides the lantern out there as Cocoon comes in. But the bad news is that blue buff is now up on for Alicia. And a kill, of course, there as well is going to make Immunity happy.
Not even having to use the ultimate there was Heavens. Did have the mana for it, interestingly. So held on to that cooldown and picked up a kill.
Had his flash. I don't know if he had Ignite. It may have just come back off cooldown, but Lulu there again. Those very quirky but clearly effective attack damage runes. I mean, I tried to mention it before. One of the things mid laners are often weak against Swiper. He going for a dive on Asuna. That's bad news. He Void Assaults out, forced to jump as well. There's the dice and a good flash there from Kha'Zix to escape. But again, Immunity seem to be getting a foothold over these lanes.
And look at this mid lane pickup. He had the 2 longswords. I wondered, is it going to be a Blade the Rune King? Is it going to be a Brutalizer?
Oh, great smoke screen there from Radio. Flashes forward. He wants to kill Zephyrus. Forced to flash there as well. And that Dark Passage Shield keeping him alive, I think. Would have been one more auto attack or ability, and that would have been a dead Thresh, which is bad news for HSD fans.
So Spirit of the Elder Lizard is the pickup on Lulu here. I mean, those auto attacks with picks are already annoying. They already do bonus damage. Now you're going to burn further with that true damage from the Spirit of the Elder Lizard.
I don't know if he's going to go super deep on the AD. I mean, I don't know if Blue Lulu is a thing. It may very well be after this game. Looks like good AoE there as that collateral damage actually gets used there. Rady going in for his ultimate. Zephyrus very low. And this tower's going to take quite a bit of damage as a result as the bot lane is forced to back away here for HSD. And I mean, I don't know if this is something he likes to do, if this is something he'd do every game, but clearly against Jace, where trading with your abilities isn't all that effective, this is really good on Lulu.
The interesting thing about Lulu is that she doesn't scale particularly well with AP. Obviously, that was the thing that was nerfed back in the days of the Void Boy Lulu top, was they consistently reduced that ratio on the Q. So the reason why we see Spirit of the Elder Lizard here is that it gives a nice group of stats here. Already with the attack damage, you got more attack damage here, so he happily laughs in mid lane. Gets the cooldown reduction, which he scales very well with, being able to put the shield, the Q, the ultimate on a lower cooldown, and has those regen stats for lane. Just play aggressively, use that mana, and have health regen and trades. So it gives her a bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it helps the push as well with the farm by doing extra damage to minions, which, is the purpose of the item. It's a jungle item. And clearly, Jace not having all that much fun here. Heavens, again, with a nice CS advantage here in the mid lane. In fact, maybe even dive feed is maybe going to be annoying. And you have to bet that Heavens, with all this experience, knows exactly what a glitter lance is. I don't know if you guys are watching, but he was shielding up minions and then poking Elevate there with the Q in there as well. So clearly knows pretty much everything you need to know about Lulu.
Swiper doing some damage on the top lane here, but no kill is going to come out of it. I mean, the one thing you can say is that this Heavens Lulu build is a Heavens original. This is an Oceanic original. You won't see this from other players. This is something that he's innovated himself and likes very much.
He really does. I mean, he's definitely known for innovation. As I said, he's played pretty much every champion meter, or has at least tried to. And Lulu here, he's played it before. This is the new twist on it now. The Season 3 comes in. We haven't seen him play it actually much in this season, but bringing it back here, going for the Spirit of the Elder Lizard is Alicia, going on to Zephyrus. Raider over the top of the quick draw. That's going to be bad news. Good Cocoon in there as well. A decent buster shot, but a great Grasping Roots, and that's going to be a kill there onto the support.
And there's the burst we were talking about. Even in a fairly defensive position was Zephyrus there, paying for it with his life.
He's both this summon as well. Heaven's going to be in trouble, but he activates his ultimate to pop them up. Alicia over the top, looks for the Cocoon. HotSoggyDecimate taking so much damage. A Grasping Roots just misses there as everybody flashes away, and you can see that damage there from Lulu. So annoying. And every single time the Pix is in there, the Elder Lizard damage is in there, Immunity going to give themselves Dragon as a result.
And of course the Dragon going down faster with that Spirit of the Elder Lizard passive. So just everything working out well for the early game here for Immunity, apart from that top lane matchup where Kha'Zix has his nose in front in terms of a kill, but is 23 CS behind.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that really nice gank from Soggy Noodles to start things off, Swipe is completely in control here in this lane. You can see him proxying now behind this turret. It's probably going to fall to the next wave of minions. And I mean, it's great to get help once from Nasus, but Kha'Zix maybe need a little more than that. Renekton, I mean, seems pretty good in this situation.
Well, the interesting thing is that with that early kill, he'd already spent 350 gold on red pot, so he was behind in terms of combat stats. He bought a tier, and that doesn't help him kill people. It gives him mana regen, it sets him up for late game, damage combat stats there. So in effect, he didn't really buy much with his advantage.
And Swiper actually pretty far forward here. Could potentially backfire on him as well. No wards towards this area either. I think maybe now notice what's up. There was a ward, in fact, in the tribal shot, I believe, and there's the Wither coming on. Acceleration against Shock Blast going to come in as well. The Tunis guy, so he's going to try and go for Suna. He activates his ultimate Thundering Blow backwards, and Suna realizes he backs out, jumps back in there, and that's going to be a kill for Elevate.
Nice kill pickup. And in terms of kills, the game's even, but 2 turrets to Immunity, 3.4k is the lead, despite the kills being very healthy.
Yeah, and just one of the things here that's really stretching that goal out for Immunity is their CS here. It's 20 plus up ahead in the top lane. It's, I think, 20 as well, 25 closer to there in the mid lane as well. And down the bottom lane once again, Rady with an aggressive champion really taking control. There's Alicia, Flash Cocoons forward, a good flash there from Elevate to get out, but Immunity just really taking control of these lanes. And unfortunately, HotSoggyDecimate, especially in their solo lanes, really like to play aggressive, but they're getting absolutely no chance to do so here.
And you talked before the game about the stats for Immunity and the fact that their kill distribution was very even. It wasn't a case where the jungler was involved in, say, 75% of their kills like someone like Meteos is for Cloud9. It's very even because they have great lane mechanics, they pick their matchups well, and they just straight up win their lanes. They don't even need the jungler to come in to grow big advantages like we see in the CS here.
I mean, HotSoggyDecimate, they did get the top tower there. Soggy Noodles and Suna teamed up to pick that one up, but Blue's going to get stolen away again here, and that one, I believe, went to Lulu this time instead of Elise. They're going to be happy with that one. I mean, the one tower's nice there for HSD, but it's 3-1 in turrets right now as all the outer turrets are down, and really just Immunity have a stronger control over their lanes despite the kills being even.
And interestingly, we see the Bilgewater Cutlass here. His Elevate might be caught out.
It's going to be bad news here. That Bilgewater's going to be a big thing here. There he goes in for the slow. He's probably going to use the active as well. In fact, he's already popped it, I believe, and the damage coming through there, nothing they can do, and that's going to be a kill for Zyra. And we may very well see actual AD, I guess, on-hit effect Lulu here from Heavens.
And the point I was stopping to make there was, I'm not willing to call it a Blade of the Ruin King just because we could potentially see it go the other way into a Hextech Gunblade. Heavens has in the past liked Spell Vamp on Lulu, but we will see. Blade the Ruin King, I would imagine, probably the more likely pick up, though.
We'll have to see. I mean, not every day you get to see this. Looks like a little wraparound happening here as well. Heaven's going to go in, and it's so hard to get away from this. Lulu Cocoon going to hit there on the Hot Soggy Noodles. Damage coming through there as well. The Glitter and Slow comes through as well, and this auto attack after auto attack. Repel going to finish that one up, not quite. And Alicia does manage to pick it off there. Venomous Bite executes that Nasus despite the ultimate.
And up top lane, Suna cannot handle this Renekton. Was taking damage under the turret. They're very, very tanky Renekton with that Sunfire Cape.
Oh, good stun there. Dice stun there as well, trying to go for it. Suna forced to flash there. And Swiper just going to go back and take out the turret. It's going to be 5-1 in turrets very, very soon here as the mid turret goes down. Graves even pushing down the bottom lane as well. It's going wrong very, very quickly here for HotSoggyDecimate.
And this is the team Immunity that we all fear, the team that can really push their advantage. Oh, and we're seeing something here, pastry time.
We are indeed. It's more than just a little laugh spam here. I think Elevate's going to get a really nasty surprise. He kind of notices Repel comes through. Human form, good dodge of Cocoon there. But the damage still coming in, he rides a Lantern out. And Zephyrus there rescues his buddy Elevate.
The Dark Passage, very powerful there. Radius so overextended, but he's got nothing to worry about. He's seen the enemy jungler. He's 40 CS ahead here. The Bloodthirster, a massive buy compared to the parts of the Blade of the Ruin King. And as we mentioned before, Graves just really happy in that matchup against Tristana early game.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, even if they do need to now pull more than one member to really kill this Graves, and it probably has to be someone important. I mean, Zephyrus, if he lands a hook, can probably do it, but if that happens, the rest of the Immunity is just going to be in the enemy jungle, pushing up towards the turrets and just continuing to do damage here. So even if Radiant dies and gives up his life for an extra kill here, I don't think he's too worried, given that his team just has so much control over the map right now. And we even saw this kind of yesterday in Game 2, where in the early stages of that game, they just left Varus alone in the mid because there was so much pressure from the rest of the team.
So with all the outer turrets down, I really like what Immunity is doing here. We've seen that the wards have come down on the enemy red buff, the enemy blue buff, and just aggressive wards at every opportunity here to get picks. They don't need wards anywhere else, but they feel like with these outer turrets down, any sort of buff should be theirs. There's so much damage coming onto Radio.
Decimate looking for a 1v1, does a lot of damage. Actually finished his Blade of the Ruin King and correctly realized that he could probably get in a 1v1 that Grave. So Radio forced to back off. They got very, very low there in that one. But
you'll notice he was very, he didn't look to rush anything. He didn't blow any of his cooldowns there, Radio, just because he knew that Tristana wasn't going to jump on top of him because of that burst damage from the completed Bloodthirster.
A very careful ward there by HotSoggyDecimate. They actually ward up that Baron buff. I think realizing that, maybe Immunity with their advantage might try something sneaky here. So good bit of awareness there from them. Kind of knowing that last game, Immunity felt the headwind for a quick Baron. Maybe they can catch them being a little too cocky this time around. And it's better to be safe than be sorry in this instance. So Nasus completing up items now as well. The Heavens open the top lane. Suna could be in trouble. He takes a massive amount of burst. The Glitter and Slow just going to miss there, but still has vision from Hellpix. The knock up in there as well. Lulu going to take the turret here, and Suna nowhere to run, gets picked up 1v1 by Lulu.
So much aggression coming out, so much health on both those targets with that Lulu ultimate.
And Blade of the Ruin King here from Heavens. I mean, it seems a little silly, but given how many slows Lulu have and how many auto attacks she can actually put out, and the fact that her AP ratios were nerfed, it's actually really, really strong.
He has that 30% CDR now. Check for the exact value. sitting on about 34, exactly 30% CDI. Doesn't even have boots, but is continually speeding himself up.
You can see here Graves on the bottom lane as well, just continuing to push in here. Members of Immunity towards the top side of the map. Rosie's actually in the mid lane trying to pressure that turret in there as well. And Immunity is completely spread out over the lane. HotSoggyDecimate really need to do something decisive here. We saw when they were behind in their games, they were able to make good decisions, really come together and group as a team and try and keep themselves in the game. Right now, though, Immunity clearly very far ahead here with 6,500 gold up on this one. And I mean, when Rady doesn't have to leave his lane, he gets to keep farming. That's usually bad news for the enemy team.
Absolutely, I think he might even fancy a skirmish with this Kha'Zix here as an AD carry, actually ahead in levels against Suna.
And Suna, unfortunately, has not gotten the not gotten what he would have liked out of this aggressive Kha'Zix pick here. I mean, we said he's an aggressive player. It makes sense with his style, but given the way the lane's worked out and just how good and solid Swiper's Renekton is, it really hasn't worked out for him, unfortunately. I mean, unlike last game, he's barely been able to leave the top lane.
The first big item completed on the HotSoggy Noodles side, the Blade of the Ruin King, does give Tristana some dueling potential, some more burst.
Top flash forward there is a good cocoon out from Alicia. Decimate's here though as well, and he picks up one kill there as Stock and Noodle's going to go down. The rest of them chasing in now as well. Plenty of dive power there between Renekton and Lulu, but Immunity will back off here. Decimate looking a little scary here. They put pings out onto Jace. They know he's coming up. Rady here down the bottom, happy to be here, but they do have to be careful here. Jace not too much damage with just a Brutalizer picked up there. But I mean, Elevate there enough to make Immunity back off at least a little bit here as soon as trying to clear out waves from the bottom lane. Rady just has not stopped pushing his tier 2. In fact, he may get it here in the next wave.
And it's amusing to see Rosie's actually been given the empty lane farm in mid. The support here, a support with wave clear is Zyra. You're able to use those plants. Always a good pusher, whether support or in the AP carry role, but 43 CS here does Zyra have.
Yeah, that's not usually something you see on supports, as Rady is going to pick up the blue buff this time. I mean, Immunity, I don't think they're super concerned about not giving Jace blue. I mean, unlike their game yesterday where they tried to deny from Kassadin time and time again, which was so crucial, I don't think HotSoggyDecimate are super upset they don't get blue, but the fact that Immunity are controlling it really just shows how on top of things they are as a team, how good their objective control is, and how well they're playing right now. I mean, the gold advantage is ticking up. There's barely been any kills this game, but just so much lane control has parlayed into so many objectives, and we're, what, 7,500 gold ahead already?
I guess the one issue when it comes to blue buff is that Jace kind of needs it more than he used to, given the fact that he doesn't have the same cooldown, the same low cooldown on the acceleration gear. He can't get those shock blast combos down as often as he could with that 16-second flat cooldown on the E ability. I see a flash coming out of HotSoggy Noodles, had to escape fast.
Yeah, he really had to get out there. It's pretty happy he had flash this time instead of Ghost, but Immunity now grouping up as a team down the mid lane here. We can see Kha'Zix rotating back towards top. Heaven's going to be in trouble. Surface goes in with the box. A beautiful walk right, and absolute explosions there as that Thresh. Zephyrus, he likes making plays. He tried there, but he just got blown up there by Immunity. Actually, good cocoon in there as well. Stock and Noodles could be in trouble. Swiper coming back through as well. Immunity keep putting the Decimate's in trouble. He gets jumped on there, and that's going to be a kill there as Swiper picks it up. Immunity continuing now under the turret, still doing damage there as Suna takes a chunk, and they're going to try and move in for this inhibitor turret. Very, very aggressive here. Very, very confident from Immunity.
Heaven's still staying, taking auto attacks. They will get this inhibitor turret here. It might be greedy to stick around for the inhibitor.
It looks like they expect the same thing here and do back off there from that one, which, as you said, probably the smarter play here, given that we are only 21 minutes into this game and the death time is not particularly long. They've probably got a big chunk of gold to spend in there as well, so they're going to go ahead and do that. But they're 9,000 gold ahead right now, Papa Smith.
It's just a massive lead, despite the fact there hasn't really been decisive team fights yet. I mean, the 2 dragons, the global gold, of course, from the 4 more turrets they have here. You can see from the items just how far ahead they are. Blade the Ruin King finished on Lulu, of course. Bloodthirster, Zeal, probably Phantom Dancer coming out for Graves here. They're just at least an item or completed item or more ahead in almost every lane.
You know what, Papa Smithy?
I'm listening.
I'm going to tell you a little story. For those of you who didn't know, Immunity, I actually lied before. They did not go undefeated. They dropped 1 game in the qualifiers. The game they dropped was one where they may have played a little bit, let's say, silly, when they had quite a lead. Immunity here, going to be absolutely not having any of that this time around. They can taste it. They can taste that trip to Germany. They want it so bad, and you can bet they're going to be trying to close out this game as quickly as they possibly can. I mean, HotSoggyDecimate, I will never ever count them out for a comeback because they have just shown such grit and such intensity and such great team fighting in the late game that I can't count them out here. But Immunity, they're aggressively moving forward. They seem confident. They're moving together as a group, and they're this game away from going to Germany, Papa Smithy.
But you can see here, they're not interested in this game going to the late game whatsoever. I mean, it almost almost feels like this has been a very, very long 22-minute game just because so many global objectives down. They've picked early wave clear champions here. I mean, Lulu doesn't scale on AD or AB necessarily, but has a lot of pressure in the early game. I don't think they're going to look at Baron here. They're just going to take down global objectives and force things as early as possible.
Yeah, and Immunity now looking to get this inhibitor. They're going to probably take this one team fight here and clean out where they can. And they've got to feel confident here. They've got such a big gold lead. Raid is doing so much damage already. He's got last Fist of Bloodthirster. Looks like at least he's going to go in a good wild growth there for initiation. Damage coming through there. Zephyrus defensively boxes. Sooner gets exploded there as he tries to go through the backlines. And Immunity just clearing through there as Elise goes down. That's 3 kills for 1 there as the jungler, the only one to fall here. They're going to happily get this mid inhibitor and maybe rotate for some other objectives. But Immunity 1 step closer to Germany now.
I mean, Elysia going down gives them slightly less Baron pressure, but HotSoggyDecimate is down as well. I mean, Baron was an option. Safer option is this in a turret.
Well, they're going to go for the face tank here in the tier 2. Heavens shields himself up quite nicely here in Radio. Oh my goodness, I forgot. He'd been pushing the entire time in the early game and that had no health to speak of at all.
And skipping the Phantom Dancer, going straight for that Last Whisper. A lot of Graves just go for that Bloodthirster Last Whisper combo, even ignoring a Zeal, just for the early burst. Has the Zeal in there, it's cost effective, it gives him the stats he wants. The PD will be coming before too long.
Yeah, he's picked up that cloak now there as well for the extra critical chance, so he's very, very close now to that PD. You can see the super minions, they're pushing down the mid lane, and that's going to create even more pressure here for HotSoggyDecimate. I think they suspect Baron is on the way, because that's kind of the logical thing for them to do, but even if they could steal Baron off Immunity, I don't know if the potential of losing a team fight there would be worth it here. I mean, they might as well try. I imagine that's where Immunity want to go next, but at this point with the lead they have, they're 10,000 gold ahead now at this point. It may only just be a matter of time.
Well, pushing is going so well for them, they don't really need to look for a fight around Baron. We know that Baron debuffs magic resist, makes enemy magic spells do more damage, which in this case isn't a big thing. There isn't much magic damage on the HotSoggyDecimate side. It does reduce your AD if you're being focused by the Baron, so it's a risky thing. There's no need to do that. They're winning without the Baron. They have an inhibitor down without the Baron. The Baron doesn't actually buy them that much more.
No, it looks like they are going to rotate towards the top lane instead. I believe they'll spot it out there. Soganyudo's going to throw out a Spirit Fire. There's a JCQ. Going to spot them off there. But they're happily going to rotate here towards this tier 2. Collect their 7th turret of the game here. This one's about to fall. Nothing really that HSD can do about this one. And Immunity going to continue pushing forward here. I'd like to take more inhibitors. Remember that mid lane's going to push in basically whenever they need it to. I mean, Explosive Shot here from Decimate is level 13. That's pretty decent. Going to clear out these minion waves fairly quickly, but there's pressure down the bottom lane. As you can see there on the minimap, there are so many wards around Baron, by the way. In fact, the map is basically completely lit up by IM wards.
Yeah, we see the Morello Nomicon coming out from Zyra again here. Rosie going for the aggressive choice, filling with his playstyle. But I mean, I just feel like it'll be the gradual push, and if they get that amazing cocoon or that amazing engage with the potential of the Lulu ultimate, they'll go for the dive.
Well, I have to say the intuition here is very, very good for Soganyudo. Heaven's going to get grabbed out. They're going to go in for it. Wild Growth activated, though. That's Zephyrus going to go down. Flash out of the box in there as well. And they're going to turn around at 2v3. Decimate picks up 1 kill, but Swiper going to try and go massive here. The Baron goes down there as well. That's good. Oh, no, it's not quite done. But they pick up Nasus. Now moving back up towards the top lane. Swiper tries to go in, doesn't quite get it. But the Baron is finished up. Unfortunately, no Baron buff up in time there for Swiper. That could have turned that around, but so many resources used there. Still a 2-for-2 trade, and Immunity pick up Baron as well.
Absolutely, and the 1-for-3 steal, great peeling off from Immunity around the Baron, stopped any potential of a steal there. 2-for-2, it's not ideal, especially given how far ahead they are, but the Baron is taken down, that's a big advantage.
Yeah, Dragon going down there as well, so Immunity continue to pad their massive gold lead here in this game. And HotSoggyDecimate, they've got to be thinking, what can we do? And I mean, usually it's Decimate. He's the one they look to really carry them through late game. They group up as a team, they play well, and Tristana carries them through here. Decimate has decent items, but he really needs to finish his Infinity Edge.
Speaking of decent items, the Iceborne Gauntlet coming out of Lulu here, it just feels like he throws a peg and picks up whatever he wants, but it gives him a bit more control, a bit more CC. Heaven's Curse looking big, 5-1-6 on Lulu.
Yeah, there are some jokes made about Heaven's just picking champions by rolling dice sometimes, and I guess he seems like he's doing it with items as well, but this build makes perfect sense here. Plenty of good on hit damage, plenty of good CC. I mean, Glitter Lance is already really annoying with that massive slow. It's just going to be AoE all over the place here. Heaven showing that AD Lulu definitely fine. I think this is something that probably doesn't scale that well into late game, but really it's all about team fight control. It's all about being aggressive early on, and that's exactly what Immunity have done here. We mentioned it already. They usually just win their lane and go go from there. They didn't get too many kills. They haven't snowballed that massively in the early game, but the lane control they had, just winning every lane, getting ahead in CS and pushing down those turrets have afforded them a massive lead here in this game. Now, HotSoggyDecimate, they've been here before. In fact, they've been here many times. Most of the games they've won have gone towards the 50-minute mark, but Immunity, you know that they want to take this in as quick fashion as they possibly can. This is going to be a big test here for HotSoggyDecimate.
We're seeing more sieging coming out here. Graves doing his best to get as many orders as he can, but of course the Wither attack speed slow is strong. I mean, it's not rocket science to see HotSoggyDecimate trumpet the fact that, hey, we don't always win the laning, but we can go late. Why not just pick a super strong early game team like they have here and making sure it never goes late?
Yeah, and Immunity in the first game did exactly that. Looking to do that here as well in game 2. They're just this game away from getting to go to Gamescom there in Germany. Zephyr's going to try and make a play. Rosie pulled in there. That's over the top for Elise there. The box being used in there by Zephyr. Swiper in the back trying to get into Elevate, and Raider gets in there as well. So aggressive here on Graves. That Soggy Noodles going down. The inhibitor turret here down the bottom lane is going to go down here. The inhibitor likely to fall as well. They're going to lose both of them here, but at least they're getting aggressive. They're Decimate, they're trying to turn around, but Heavens comes through there to do the damage there. Just keeping them off, but they're poking it down. One inhibitor going to go down. They're possibly going to go for the mid in here as well. Maybe even look to do some Nexus turret damage. Massive minion wave in the top lane here as well. Immunity could complete all the inhibitors here if they want to, and they're so close, Papa Smithy.
They're so close to that elusive chip they've been waiting for so long. Why not go for the tutorial victory, take everything down, and secure your victory?
Yep, last inhibitor going to fall in here as well. They could move in for the kill here if they want to. They're going to try and find it. Heavens are going to get picked up. Zephyr's going to go through there. Raider coming through as well, and Zeph forced to flash out there, in fact, as Heavens just continues to kite people. This Nexus turret taking quite a bit of damage. Swiper getting in. Hot Soggy Noodles as Buster Shot plus Dark Passage do some crazy things to move everybody around, but the Nexus turret has gone down. Immunity don't need much more than this. The Nexus turret falling here as well. Decimate takes a lot of damage. He's dead as Heaven picks that one up. But Immunity, I think they've done it. The Nexus bear now sooner gonna get taken out here as well. Swiper taking it up. The Nexus taking damage in Immunity. They have done it. They will get a game swap. Good game, well played.
Maybe 2 years later than they expected pastry time, but this Immunity squad, once Fnatic Array, now Team Immunity, finally take down that big ticket, that chance to follow the path to pro, that chance to go to Cologne.
Years in the making is this one. I mean, you guys think that you've been waiting a long time for a server? Immunity have been waiting so long to travel overseas, and finally it seems like the stars have aligned. The stars have aligned, the servers come out, they've got better practice on better ping. Finally a chance to travel internationally. The favorites coming into this event and take it in really just absolutely massive style there.
And you have to say, based on current form, definitely a chance over there in Cologne, let alone the World Finals. They're looking strong, pastry time.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we've done it. I guess we are done for this cast here. It's been an amazing job here casting the Oceanic Season 3 Finals for you. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. We'd love to chat to you again. I'm Pastry Time, here's Papa Smithy. We, of course, are Papa Time, but it is time for Riot Hype to take it home.
Man, once again, give it up for these two teams here. You guys have been rocking now in Australia here, PAX Australia 2013, memorable moment. And you guys have been doing it for 3 days to see this. Give them a round of applause one more time. Keep it going. Turn it up for me. Turn it up for me for these guys. Turn it up. Give it up. You guys are amazing. Do you guys want to say anything for your fans?
Just thanks for all the support. That's about it. Yeah, thanks to everyone who supported us. We appreciate every single person that supports us. Just continue to support us, especially when we go over to Germany. We're going to need all your support. Thanks, guys.
On 3, can you guys shout their team name? 1, 2, 3. There you guys go. I want to bring out 2 people from Riot right now that also have a few words to say about this monumental event and cheering you guys on. Let me bring them out. Lance and Mirko, come on out now, you guys. Give them a round of applause. And I'll let them take it away.
Hey guys, so thanks a lot for coming out. I just want to introduce Mirko. He's our rider that's been down here in the Oceanic territory getting things set up. He's the reason that we're getting things together to bring you the service that you guys have been wanting for a long time. So I want to hand it over to Mirko.
Thank you, guys. First of all, I would like to thank you for attending, for your participation here at PAX. Most of you have been here for 6-7 hours every day, and this is very humbling for us. A big applause for you guys. I also want to thank you, all the guys that have followed our stream. I think we broke a couple of records this weekend in terms of stream numbers. So thank you guys on the stream as well. An applause for you.
And so, hey, we wanted to say a really big thank you to PAX Australia for hosting this. I think this is a really great thing for Australia and the Oceania region. So big thank you to PAX. I also wanted to say a big thank you to all of our booth neighbors, the other exhibitors that's been around. We know we've been loud. But, you know, I think we all agree here, all the exhibitors feel that the reason we're doing PAX is for the players. So a big thank you to all of our neighbors. Thank you for bearing with us. We know we're loud. You guys are loud. It's awesome. But so that we just want to say thank you to those guys. Go ahead, Mirko.
Yeah. Another thing where we are thanking everyone. 2 big thank you to our sponsors. One is Plantronics, which has been here. It's been awesome, providing us support for the Season 3 Championship. And the other one is Logitech. I think I need to introduce yourself as well. Lance has been in the company for as long as I remember. We've been working for ages. If today company is the way you guys love it, it's also because thanks to Lance.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you, Mirko. Yeah, I do run the live services and we run the events. That's some of the things that we do. What we're really here for, though, is the competitive scene, right? So what it all comes down to has been a big road to victory here in Melbourne. And it's Team Immunity has kind of led the way, right? So what's cool about this is these guys are going off to represent the Oceania region, represent Australia. These guys are headed off to Europe to play off for a wild card spot, the winner of which will lead on to the World Championship in LA later this year. Could be these guys right here. So esports, kind of a big deal, right? Riot is really lucky, privileged, and proud to be a part of this. We work really hard to make a game that you can enjoy. We don't do this by ourselves, right? We do it with teams like these, the competitors here. We do it with fans that enjoy it. If you guys didn't care, we wouldn't be here. We also have partners like the ACL. These guys have been super pro. You look at all this stuff, ACL have been tremendous partners. Big hand for ACL. Thank you guys. We're going to close it out on one final note, right? This may be the end of PAX Australia, but this is just the beginning of Riot's esports presence in Australia, right? We're here to stay. Hope you like it. Stick around. Way to go. All right, guys.